Hi everybody, today I'm going to share with you an interview that took place about 4 years ago. It was conducted by a fellow named Dr. Kevin Reese. He has his own YouTube channel, Inner Peace with Dr. Reese, which is a wonderful YouTube channel. You should check it out. I'll put the link in the description. He interviewed myself 4 years ago, and he's interviewed a lot of other interesting characters over the years. So I'm going to share with you that interview today. It isn't a video, it's just an audio podcast. So you don't have to be sitting at your computer watching it. You can go and do your washing up and make yourself a smoothie, or even go for a walk and listen to it on your headphones. Here it is now. Enjoy.
Have you ever heard of Fruitarianism? Certainly you've heard of veganism, or people claiming to be plant-based. From the health aspect, Fruitarianism might be a step above, if you will. But there's also an ethical standpoint to it. And in order to be Fruitarian, there's a lifestyle that comes along with it. Welcome to episode number 34. Today, I'm going to be talking to Mango Wodzak. He's a health educator. He's written a bunch of books that are available. He's an animal rights advocate. And he's a veteran fruitarian. And along with his wife, has created a little paradise in Australia, away from society, taking the fruitarian lifestyle to the max, living on acres of land, planting trees. There's work that comes along with that. He's created peace within himself through his fruitarian lifestyle. So it's a pleasure to have Mango call in from Australia to do this episode. You'll hear his sort of local wilderness behind him as we talk. And I think you're going to get a lot out of this. Because this episode, it's much more than just fruit and diet. It's about the earth. It's about nature. It's about living in society, but not being of society. Enjoy. So, Mango, you're like the fruitarian alien, man. I saw a picture of you at a grocery store with a cart totally full of oranges. You're barefoot, and people in line are staring at you.
That's true.
What's it like being a fruitarian alien, so to speak?
That happens here very often. We get people asking, oh, what are you going to do with all those cucumbers? Or what are you going to do with all those oranges, or all those watermelons? And we explain that we're going to juice them. We drink a lot of juice every day. And people aren't aggressive or objectionable in any way. A lot of them are open-minded and they listen to what you're saying.
Sure.
So long as you don't push an agenda on them too much.
Yeah, and of course you get hit with the sugar question. I mean, that is natural, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that think that eating too much fruit is going to make you fat, but look at me, there's not an ounce of fat on me. Yeah, too much sugar. I say you probably never meet a fruitarian with diabetes. Not that there's many of us around, but I think that diabetes is definitely not an issue which a fruitarian's ever going to get.
No, I mean, back when I had, when I was practicing and I had clients, I mean, I'd put a diabetic on, just to prove them that their sugar wasn't going to go crazy. I'd have them eat a big dinner of grapes, and they'd wake up in the middle of the night and come downstairs and get food because their sugar was low, and they're trying to justify, well, I just had a lot of grapes. How come my sugar is low, not high?
Yeah, that's right.
People are very unaware of this stuff.
They're incredibly unaware. There's a huge difference between processed sugar that's all wrapped up in fat and wheat products to sugar which is contained and locked into a fruit. It's a very, very different thing. One is perfectly natural, the other one is very denatured.
That's right. That's right. And I seriously doubt there's any great apes out there with diabetes, So
No, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and so you've been fruitarian for almost 30 years, is that correct?
Well, strictly speaking, I embraced the idea in 1992, but it would be untruthful of me to say that I succeeded with it immediately. So
Right.
I've been on that path for a long time now. What is it? 28 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But I made a lot of mistakes, especially in the first decade, and a lot of slip ups and going back to eating foods that I knew were not good for me. But I never slipped up on being vegan. I embraced veganism in 1987, and that for me was very, very much a moral issue, which I felt like I could never turn my back on. Eating raw food is much more of a challenge because the food that you've been eating before is so very addictive that you pull to it all the time. So it takes an awful lot of getting your head in the right space to be able to actually pull it off.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a transcendent type of thing where you have to go above these cravings because we all have these patterns of cravings from when we're kids and
absolutely.
teenagers.
Yeah. Most lollies that you can buy, or sweets or candies as you call them in the US, they've got fruit as a flavoring in them.
That's right.
So instead of giving you fruit, they're giving you these candies that have got fruit flavors in them, which aren't even real fruit. It's like designed in a laboratory somehow,
Yeah.
and it's made from animal bones. A lot of it. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's perverse, really.
Yeah. A lot of candies are made from the anus of beavers. There's a gland in the anus of beavers that
Yeah.
has some sort of flavoring, and they use it in a lot of candies.
I think they use them in cigarettes, don't they, too, to add some musky flavor to cigarettes or something. It's been a traditional ingredient
Oh wow,
in
yeah,
certain
I never
cigarettes.
heard that one. But you're right, Mango. You know,
Yeah,
the corporations even know that fruit is our original food because
yeah,
they create fake foods with fruit flavors.
exactly,
Strawberry
exactly.
gum, watermelon
Yeah,
lollipop,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Pop Tarts.
No, I was going to say, I don't rightfully know if it's a conspiracy in such that people know what they're doing, that they know that fruit's the original fruit, but it is some kind of cosmic conspiracy. I think at some level there is this movement or this mindset which is preventing us from returning or getting back to how things should be. But on an individual level, when a manufacturer produces a lolly, most of them wouldn't have a clue that our natural food is fruit. It's just
Right,
in the pursuit of money.
right.
That's kind of what's going on there.
Yeah, capitalism.
Capitalism, yeah.
Now, I've heard through the grapevine that Australia is a great place for fruit. Is that true?
Uh, Australia is a huge country,
Right.
and there are certain parts of it which definitely aren't good for fruit. Most of it actually is probably not, because we have huge desert areas and a lot of unpopulated areas. You go anywhere like that, and you're not going to find much fruit. If you go away from the cities or the large towns, you're going to have a hard time finding fruit. But if you stick to the coastline and you stick to towns and cities and the countryside around them, especially up in the tropics where we're living, it's a good place to get fruit, yes, for sure. And I think that because a lot of people came over here from Europe and they really had this adventure spirit about them, really, a lot of farmers. And they went out searching for seeds from different parts of the world and they brought them back here. And in this particular area, within like a 100-kilometer radius, I think we've probably got more varieties of fruit growing than anywhere else in the world
Hmm.
because of that, because people went out searching for seeds from everywhere and brought them back here and started growing things. Commercially, very, very difficult to get hold of a lot of it. But if you know farmers, if you know the area, you can get hold of all kinds of different fruits that you would normally not find anywhere else.
Right. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, veganism is taking off right now. There's a so-called fake meat revolution coming right now.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
great. That's great for the animals. I don't know if it's great for the humans, but it's great for the animals. How long do you think it's going to take for fruitarianism to sort of spread a little more? Because we're just hitting that vegan revolution now, where it's actually
Yeah,
accepted. 10 years ago, very different. 10 years
yeah,
ago, at least in the States, in
yeah,
America.
yeah,
Well, I think it could be on the horizon somewhere. If I go back in time, as I mentioned, I became vegan in 1987, and I didn't know anybody else who was vegan at the time of becoming vegan. Just so happened that my sister turned vegan, who was living in a different country at more or less the same time. But apart from that, where I was living, I didn't know anybody. The word vegan was virtually unheard of. If you went there and told anybody you were vegan, they wouldn't know what it was. We've made huge strides since that time. And everybody kind of knows now of a vegan or has heard the word. Some people, obviously, they don't like it, but it's there now and you can't escape from it. It's happening. And I think that fruitarianism is probably past the stage that veganism was in 1987.
Hmm.
If you think about it, there's a lot of people now that talk about raw veganism, whereas veganism wasn't even known back then. And there's more people that know about raw veganism than there was that people that knew about veganism back in the 80s.
Right.
It could be closer.
And you wrote a book about fruitarianism, correct?
Absolutely. I've written 4 books at the moment.
Okay.
2 of them are specifically about fruitarianism. One of them is more a call to anarchy. That's the last book that I've written. And one of them is autobiographical. But all of them address the fruit issue. That's my focus really in life. Not only that, but my primary focus is to bring awareness about the plight of the farmed animals, because
Hmm.
I think there's an awful lot of people that are embracing the raw lifestyle and even fruitarian lifestyle, and they don't really understand what's going on with animal agriculture. They haven't really fully embraced veganism, even though they call themselves raw vegan. They may occasionally slip up because for them it's a diet choice rather than a lifestyle choice.
Hmm.
It's rather like somebody can choose to be on a macrobiotic diet or whatever because they think it's healthy, but then after a while they get bored with it and they go back to something else and they eat other things again. And I think that's what happens with raw vegan. A lot of people think, yeah, that's a good idea. That's what I want to do. And then after a while, because they haven't embraced veganism, they haven't embraced the fact that it's actually an ethical choice not to eat animals, not a dietary choice.
Right. That's right. And, you know, factory farming is a very, very brutal endeavor. And a lot of people are sleeping while they're walking. They don't understand that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, I think there's still a lot of people that would see it and still not quit. They would just say, oh, don't show me that. There's a lot more people now waking up to what's going on when they're faced with the facts and actually have the guts and the consciousness to do something about it. But for the most part, I think most people are still at the stage where they're not going to do anything about it when they're faced with the truth. When I became vegan in the 80s, I presented a book to many of the people that I knew because I thought that if they read this book, it was the book by Peter Singer, Animal Liberation, they would be obliged really to not eat animals anymore. I just thought it was so obvious, but not one single person that I gave the book to had any revelation really or made any changes. They just told me, most of them said, look, don't give me stuff like this to read. I'm not interested.
Mm. Do you think that the fake meat revolution is going to change things for the environment and the animals?
I suppose the easy answer is yes, of course, if we can stop systematically abusing animals, it's going to be a huge forward step. But like you've mentioned already, I think the idea of eating fake meat is it's not really going to be good for us. It's not really going to help us evolve.
And the fake meats are starting to pop up in the fast food restaurants.
Yeah,
So, it,
that's scary in a way.
yeah,
I consider it scary because these people, these companies, in many ways, they're steering the way the planet is being run. They're big mega corps that have the money and the power behind them, and all they're doing it for is not for ethical reasons. They're just trying to get people on board to give them money by eating whatever they give them. So
Right.
the fact that they're now selling vegan burgers or whatever it might be, I think that we as vegans have a moral duty to not support that.
Mm.
We shouldn't be supporting those companies at all. We should be stepping away from them and saying, no, we don't give you any support.
Mm.
They're destroying the planet because they're going to carry on doing whatever it is they're doing as well as selling vegan burgers.
Right. They're just capitalists at the end of the day.
They're capitalists.
Yeah, and we don't, from a health standpoint, we don't know the effects this fake meat's going to have. We're not going to know for another 10 or 20 years. There's no way to know right now.
No. Mm.
And so now people are getting on it, and now they're cutting deals with McDonald's and Subway and Burger King, and
Mm.
before you know it, there's going to be a vegan pizza joint on the corner in America.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
America is the kingdom of capitalism. So,
It's so true.
man,
Yeah.
things are about to change right in front of our
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah. Things are definitely moving forward, and I guess at some level, anything that's going to stop the animal holocaust is good at some level.
Yeah.
But we have to be realistic and see the bigger picture that this is really about keeping the money, keeping control in the hands of the few.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we are frugivores long before we became
Mm.
hunter gatherers.
Yep.
And, you know, it's obvious with our thumbs, it's obvious with our digestive systems.
If we see a roadkill, nobody's going to look at that and think, oh, I didn't have breakfast this morning. I
Right.
just wish I had a knife and fork with me.
Right.
But nobody's going to think that way.
Mm-hmm. You know, fruit is just so obvious to me because of the flavor. There, you know, I stump people with this question sometimes. I'm just like, name me a food that tastes good without you altering it.
Mm.
There really is none. I mean, maybe you can make a case for a carrot. Maybe
Mm.
you can make a case for a
Mm-hmm.
beet,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, your delicious foods are melons and berries and oranges and apples and grapes. You don't have to cook it. You don't have to put salt on it. You don't have to touch it in any way. It's just there. You pick it, you wash it, you eat it.
It's the ultimate fast food. It's just on the tree. You walk to the tree, and I mean, obviously, most people don't have access to trees these days, I suppose, but that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
You have a garden, you have fruit trees in it, and you go to the garden and you pick a fruit tree when you're hungry and you eat that and move on to the next tree or go and play in the sunshine or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, man. And you know, based on people that I know who sometimes go to islands like Hawaii or even in Puerto Rico, man,
Yeah.
they always hit me back up like, hey man, I was getting free fruit, papayas and
Mm,
avocados and coconuts and
yeah.
mangoes,
Bananas. Yeah.
and I'm over here in the northeast of America paying top dollar
Mm.
to get the same food.
It's a sad world we live in, Kevin.
We need more fruit trees, man.
Absolutely. And we need to be planting more fruit trees as individuals. That's what we should be doing with our lives instead of wasting them in offices and whatever it is that people do in pursuit of money.
And you're planting trees out there in Australia, correct?
Absolutely. We're only renting because we never had money to buy anywhere, but as it happened, the universe blessed us and we happened to find a 2.5 acre plot of land out in the country, which was basically just grass when we got here. And I've got rid of all the grass or cut it down all short, and I put in a lot of fruit trees since we've been here.
Hmm.
So we've got avocados and black sapote, white sapote,
Hmm.
aki, aki
Hmm.
fruit. Aki fruit's one of our favorite. We love them. A lot of different citrus, grapefruits, oranges, mandarins. Um, yeah, we have a lot more, obviously a lot of bananas, papaya, pineapples. Um, yeah, and I've not finished yet because it's not like I work all day or anything. On the contrary, I'll do mostly something in the morning, and the next morning I'll do something. And yeah, so I've still got pockets of land that I need to put trees on. that I will eventually get to.
It sounds amazing, man.
We're very, very blessed. We absolutely love it here. It's falling into our laps, and because we thought that, given our financial status, the fact that neither of us had any money to speak of, that we would never be able to afford to get land, and finding a rental property out in the country is quite difficult. But not only have we found a beautiful place to be, but we've got a really great landlord who is, yeah, just the best, really. So we hardly ever see him as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you're eating a lot of fruit for free, right from the trees.
Well, this time of year, mangoes are just starting, so we can pick mangoes by the box load, not only from our own trees, but we know where a lot of kind of wild trees are that we just go and pick boxes up and bring them back. So we get plenty of that. Jackfruit, we've got jackfruit in the garden too, and we had quite a lot of jackfruit this year, so we just go out in the garden and pick a jackfruit and eat that too.
Oh my gosh.
We still buy some fruit.
And you know, for those that don't know, a lot of people don't know what jackfruit is, Mango.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, if I'm not mistaken, it's the biggest fruit in the world.
It's the biggest tree fruit in the world.
Okay, yeah.
I think there are fruits that are bigger that grow on vines, like maybe watermelon, or maybe a pumpkin, which is also technically a fruit. Pumpkin, it's got the seed inside it.
Yeah.
Pumpkins can get bigger than jackfruits, but jackfruits, yeah, they can get up to 40 kilograms. One fruit, I think that's the Guinness Book of Records, something around that size. They're a huge fruit. They're a real family fruit. You take one off the tree and you can sit down in a circle around the jackfruit and just eat that one jackfruit.
It's a party.
Make it, everybody get a meal from it.
It's a party. It's a jackfruit party.
Jackfruit party. Fruit is actually, as well as being the only food that is readily edible without any change, it's also the only food which is 100% karmically freely given. So when you go to a tree and you take a jackfruit, you're not harming the tree at all.
You're not.
The tree is benefiting from the fact that you're taking it, because you're then going to be dispersing the seeds. So I believe that we have this symbiotic pact with fruit trees, that when we eat the fruit, rather than discard the seed into the rubbish bin or whatever, so it's never going to have any chance of ever growing, we discard the seeds into wasteland, which is next to the house. And we got fruit trees coming up in that plot. I'm never going to get in there and clean or anything. It's just wild land. It's actually in a gully which is next to the house. I'm throwing the seeds in there, and there's all kinds of fruit trees coming up from this way of dispersing the seeds.
Right. Oh man.
Yeah.
Jackfruit, free jackfruit. It's expensive up here, my friend.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
You know, it really is, man. It tastes like bubble gum.
Yeah, bubblegum fruit.
Yeah, and so that's amazing. And I saw photos on your Facebook page where you have groups of people and you have these big fruit feasts and everyone's hanging out like it's a barbecue, but it's all fruit. You know, do you have lots of guests and community?
Yeah, these gatherings happen once every couple of months now. I think more or less every 2 or 3 months or something. Somebody will organize one in the area, and there's maybe 20 people turn up to them. It's like a potluck. You bring along some fruit or fruit salad. Not everybody's eating fruit. In fact, I think it's just Kurt and I that are eating 100% fruit, but people bring in salads as well with lettuce and things that they've made before. It's nice to catch up with people. We all come out of the woodwork.
Right. It looks like it's all peace, you know? How has your fruitarian lifestyle and your lifestyle in general, how has that all increased your peace and your spirituality through the years? Because like you said, you're trying to go as barefoot as possible. Your hair's growing out, your beard's growing out. You're just growing with the universe. You know, how have things changed for you in that way?
I think it's difficult to say whether things happen because I'm eating fruit or just because I'm you kind of maturing in life, which we all do anyway, I suppose. But maybe it sped up some things, my maturity in some ways, and it makes me think a lot more about life, the universe, and everything, really. When you're out in the garden and you're watching things grow and you listen to the bees and the birds come and land close to you and you see the wallabies or the kangaroos, it does make you think about life, it makes you question everything really, especially coming from that contrast of living in a city and going to work and being in an office all day, and suddenly now your life is like this, where you're just more in tune with the way things should be.
Mm.
I think a lot of that is because of the way I'm eating too, I suppose it would be. The fact that you eat fruit, it clears you up inside. Your body gets clearer. I remember
Mm-hmm.
before I started eating raw, I went to a yoga meditation retreat in Denmark, and I had an awful lot of trouble breathing properly because my sinuses were so blocked
Mm.
from eating the cooked food that I was eating, especially a lot of bread. And I could never really get the full benefit from the experience because my nostrils were so blocked. And you're
Mm.
supposed to do these exercises where you breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. And I just was forever blocked, and I would get colds a couple of times a year. And that doesn't happen anymore. If you do get a bit of minor detox, it's over within a day or two, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And because now when you do breathe clearer, it does actually open your mind up more when the
Sure.
blockages aren't there, which helps you tune into everything in a better way.
Yeah, that's the whole essence of our bodies, is not to be blocked. That's the whole philosophy that we want to reach, is just no blockages, whether it's blood, lymph, or energy, right?
We don't want to be constipado in any way. So
Mm-hmm.
not constipated anywhere, do we? We don't want to be have our sinuses blocked, or as you say, lymphs, anything really. It's all about unblocking ourselves, which helps us then unblock our minds and recognize things for what they really are.
Mm-hmm.
I came across a really interesting term just a couple of days ago. Actually, I'd never seen it before, but I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's called Wetiko.
No, I haven't.
Apparently, the Native Americans, when the first Westerners started invading the continent, they recognized them of having an illness, which they termed as Wetiko. I
Mm.
think I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's spelled Wetiko. And basically, they saw that the Westerners were all suffering from something which is akin to cannibalism, not necessarily eating your own species, but eating anything really that was in your path, whether it had a consciousness, whether it was living or not. The whole idea of the Western philosophy is that we should grow, we should keep consuming, and anything that stands in the way, it's fair game, and it's actually morally correct to get rid of it, to
Mm.
get rid of things that are standing in the way of progress, which has allowed the Westerners to wipe out indigenous cultures all over the planet that opposed the, the progress of the Western way of thinking. And the Native American Indians, they termed this Wetiko. Wetiko was what they saw people suffering from. And Wetiko is self-perpetuating. So once you're in it, it's very, very difficult to even recognize that you're suffering from Wetiko. In fact, you'll do your utmost to defend it. Anybody that comes in the way of this way of thinking will be considered ludicrous or a danger to society, a danger to progress. I found it very enlightening, really, to read about this, because I know these were obviously things which I'd thought about before, but it just gave a word to the illness that we're all suffering from.
Yeah, that's worth looking into for sure, to the listeners as well as myself. Do you also include nuts in your diet at all, like almonds or walnuts or anything?
Not at all. Nuts contain the potential for a new life, a new tree
Mm.
within them.
I see.
So when you eat the nut, you are actually destroying the life of a potential new tree. But
Mm.
not only that, from a health point of view, you'll realize that when you eat nuts, because pretty much every nut that's commercially available has been heat treated, whereas fruit that's commercially available, I guess some of it's probably been irradiated, but you can do your best to source fruit which isn't, fruit source fruit which is maybe local or organic. But nuts, they've all been heat treated. And
Right.
because of that heat treatment, there's no natural means for the body to realize when it's had too much.
All right. Yeah, it makes sense. Well said. A lot of fruitarians that I've heard of incorporate nuts. Like Gandhi was fruits and nuts. They were just trying to get quote unquote good fat, but you can do that with
Mm,
avocado. Avocado is a fruit.
yeah, yeah. You're not going to do yourself any favors by eating nuts, I don't think. You can control, if you can control and say, I'll have 3 nuts, then maybe you can keep doing that for a long time. But
Right.
the trouble with nuts is that they're like chocolate, that you're going to eat one and
Yeah,
then
that's
you're going
right.
to, that's nice, I'll eat more. And it's very difficult for the body to actually know when to stop. Your
There's
mind has to step in and say, I have to stop now. The
yeah.
same as with chocolate.
Yeah, they're snacky. They're snacky.
They're snacky, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like a cooked food, the same effect on the body as cooked food because of that heat treatment. If you can go to a walnut tree that's not been, the walnuts aren't sun dried, and you can pick a walnut off the tree, you'll find it's very milky. It's got a very different texture to a walnut that you'll buy in the shop. And
Hmm.
when you eat that walnut, you may enjoy the taste of it, but after you've eaten 2 or 3, there'll be a natural stop that you don't want to eat anymore. The same way as if you're eating a fruit, that if you eat a certain amount, you think doesn't taste the same anymore, or it burns my lips or my tongue. Something about it has changed, and you naturally push it aside. And
Hmm.
that's will happen if you're eating a truly fresh, watery nut, but not if you eat any commercial nuts.
Right. Now, through your journey, did you have any natural health teachers help you out, whether alive or, dead? Did you pick up any books that helped you along your way? Anything like that?
Yeah, when I first turned on to raw food, there was one particular guy. He wasn't an author, but he gave a talk on the subject, and everything that he said made sense to me.
Hmm.
His name was Francisco Martin. He was a Spanish fellow. And afterwards, I read all the classics like Arnold Ehret and Herbert Shelton. Herbert
Mm-hmm.
Shelton, particularly, I found his writing very fascinating.
Yep.
Both Ehret and Shelton, really.
Yep.
There were a lot of others, really, S.E. Hannibal and T.C. Fry. And, basically, at the time when I was transiting, I got hold of as much as I could do to read on the subject because I felt like I needed inspiration, really, and that's what the books did. I think reading books about what you want to do is going to inspire you to do them because you're reading about people that have succeeded already.
Right. Absolutely. My favorite it
Yeah,
was Hilton Hotima. He talks about breatharianism too,
he does.
and how
Yeah,
fruit
I've
is
read Man's Higher Conscious.
man's higher conscious is one of my favorite books ever,
Yeah,
ever, ever, ever.
yeah, yeah.
That's like a must read for every human being walking the earth.
Mm.
It really
Yeah,
is because he breaks
yeah.
down the science of it. He relates it back to the Bible. He relates it back to Indian gurus. He he
Yeah,
he breaks down the structure of the body and
yeah.
fruit. Being a fruitarian is like 2 steps away from breatharianism, right? Because the
Mm,
the next step
hmm.
would be liquidarianism, all liquids,
Yeah,
and then it
yeah.
would be breatharianism. So where do you flirt with that idea, or you're good where you're at?
Well, we tend to drink most of what we eat anyway. So
Hmm.
the majority of what we eat is drunken. I make in the morning, every morning, I make a whole load of juices and then we'll drink them throughout the day. And then around midday, we'll have a salad, maybe, maybe. Sometimes we won't have a salad, especially Krita, she'll skip eating salad more than I will. So she'll just be drinking juices.
Right.
But I'll have a salad. But the salad, literally, I'm just talking, it's like a small bowl. We've seen some raw fooders and they'll just pile on so much in their plates. And when I talk about salad, I'm not obviously not talking about green. There's no green leaves in there. I'm talking about grated zucchini, cucumber, and tomato, and a bit of avocado.
Which is all fruit,
That will
which
be
a
it.
lot of people don't know.
They're all fruit. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think as time goes by, maybe drinking more juice. Uh, I am open to the idea of breatharianism, but having never met anybody that's doing it, but having seen some people that have tried to do it and not been very successful at all,
Hmm.
I'm very, well, I'm skeptical, but at the same time, I'm open-minded. So
Right.
I would love for it to be true, but I just don't know.
Right.
And who knows? I mean, if one day I feel like I don't want to eat anymore, then sure, I'm open to that idea. So
Do you ever splice in like water fasting or anything?
I have in the past, I've done a lot of water fasting, nothing more than 14 days.
Well,
But
that.
I've done a few 10-day fasts and a lot of 3-day fasts and a few dry fasts as well. But
Mm,
yeah, in recent times, not so much because I feel like I'm like 52, 53 kilograms or something, which
mm-hmm.
a lot of people they would see that as too skinny. But I feel fine on that weight. But I don't like to drop much below 50. If I go below 50, I start to feel that's not good for me. And the truth is, if I do water fast, I quickly go below 50 to 50 within a matter of days. I can lose 1 kilogram a day water fasting.
Right.
But last year I did 50 days of juice, just juice, mostly watermelon, and I found that I hardly lost any weight doing that. So I can maintain my weight by just drinking juices, but by not eating at all, I lose weight too quickly, and I don't really want that to happen.
I do juice feasts, we'll call it food vacations, if you want to call it. I do that at least 60 days a year,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I sometimes feel so darn good. I flirt with the idea of
yeah,
just staying on liquids
yeah, yeah.
because life is so simple. There's no
Mm,
sitting down for a meal, there's no preparing. It's gulp gulp done, and you're full.
yeah, yeah. No, I think it's a good thing. I could well see myself becoming liquidarian. That's
Mm.
a huge possibility, I think. Breatharianism, I'm not so sure. Yeah.
So yeah, so I have listeners who are probably listening to this, and their minds might be a little blown right now because they're like, "Wow, this dude over here in Australia, he's on all fruit."
Yeah. Yeah.
What if
Yeah.
somebody wanted to give this diet style a little try? What
Yeah.
what tips would you give someone? Just two, three, maybe four tips, just for a beginner.
Number one, mate, what you do when you're eating only fruit is you eat what appeals to the body. So don't try and restrict yourself with anything. I think especially for a beginner, don't try and think, oh, I shouldn't have too many avocados because that's too much fat. If your body is wanting them, I think you should go ahead and let yourself eat them. A lot of people jump into it too quick and think, oh, I should only eat mono fruit, which at the end of the day, it may be good to be eating just one particular fruit at a time. But once you start restricting yourself too much, you're making it too difficult for yourself to succeed. So I think that it's very good to think, yeah, I'll make myself a fruit salad and mix things together because I enjoy that
Mm,
and do that and make yourself a salad. And you'll be surprised how much a salad of cucumber, grated zucchini, tomato, and avocado can be so satisfying. And if necessary, make yourself 2 or 3 bowls a day because it's going to fill you up.
mm-hmm.
It's going to fill you up. But you want to feel full really with it, but you don't want to eat too much. In my opinion, I think a lot of people also they push it and they eat too much. I know that there is this school of thought going around that you're supposed to eat a lot of a certain amount of calories.
Mm,
Now, we don't count calories at all. And in the past, we've been accused of calorie restricting, but I don't believe in calorie restriction either because a restriction means that you're actually saying, oh, I won't eat any more than this, even though you're hungry. I think you
right,
should eat until it's satiated. So when you're eating, you just eat what appeals and you eat until you feel satisfied. And you don't try and make too much of an extreme out of it because it's already extreme enough probably for most people coming over to fruit. But
right.
particularly if you're including that tomato, zucchini, and cucumber salad with the avocado, that actually is going to really ease your path into it because that's probably the closest thing that you're going to get to eating something more substantial and filling and stodgy that people
Yeah,
crave.
because the avocado is very satiating. The healthy fat in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Over time, your needs will change, and over time, you'll realize actually, no, I'm eating too many avocados, and it's not good for me. And you can make choices based on the stage that you're at. But
Mm.
you were talking about a newbie, a full-on newbie coming into it. And of course, the other point is to move yourself away as much as you can from temptation, because uh, obviously, even this is the same for people going on to a raw food diet. The biggest obstacle that you're going to get is your own body's craving substances that it's been used to getting and that have been frankly addictive,
Mm.
that your body is addicted to, and you just want to have more of it. You need that kind of stodgy thing. And you need to tell your mind at some point, no, this is not good. This is not what you want to do. And you've got to break away from it. So moving away from temptation, that's also a huge thing, I think, that will help you. We've had people come to us, family members mostly, that have stayed with us for a period of time, also friends, and we have a house rule that here, and there are no temptations anywhere close to us, and we're 15 kilometers from town. And
Mm.
if somebody's coming staying with us, they're basically relying on us to take them around. So here, the house rule is only fruit is to be consumed.
Mm.
It's one of the house rules. And we've had people that think they're scratched their head and think, I don't know if I can do this, but they've come here and they've stayed with us from periods of between 6 weeks and 5 months, and they've eaten only fruit with us. And you'd be surprised at how easy it has been for virtually everybody. No complaints or saying I'm craving this or I could really eat a cookie or a cake or whatever it might be. They happy eating only fruit with us. And you should see the way people change. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's short of miraculous, really, to see the
Oh yeah.
changes of people. Those two main things, really, I think they're the main things. You just got to not restrict yourself. Don't try and take it too extreme by eating just mono. Do that later if you want, yeah, by all
Yeah.
means. And
Like a grape.
remove yourself from temptation.
Yeah,
Go on.
like a grape feast or something. Uh, my my tip to people is to become a fruit expert. I'm going to use the word loosely, but like know your fruit. Like don't eat unripe fruit. Like know when it's ripe and right. Like I remember in the beginning, I would eat oranges that weren't ripe, and my lips would start burning.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I had to learn things the hard way, and I had to become, just like somebody out in the wilderness would become
Mm,
knowledgeable on how to make a fire or how to make some shelter, you know,
yeah,
what berries not to eat, right? Like you have to sort of
that's
become
right.
an expert with the fruit if you're going to be eating it day in
Yeah.
day out.
That's an interesting point you're bringing up there, Kevin, because
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are other species of animal on this planet which are primarily frugivorous. Fruit bat, for example, or we classify many of the great apes as being frugivorous animals,
Mm-hmm.
where whenever they're given the choice, they'll choose fruit over leaves. But they eat a lot of leaves at times when there's a shortage. But in any case, the thing I want to say is that of all the frugivorous species on this planet, we are very, very exceptional because we have a limited window where the fruit is ideal for us. We don't want it to be underripe. We don't want it to be overripe. We want it to be in that Goldilocks zone where it's just right for us.
Mm.
And we as a species of frugivores, we're the only ones that have this need of getting it in that particular zone, because a lot of the animals that eat only fruit, they'll eat fruit which is underripe, they'll eat fruit which is going rotten and overripe, and they don't seem to have any effect from it. Whereas us, we get adversely affected by eating fruit which isn't in that Goldilocks zone.
It makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. I think an avocado is a good fruit to look at as an example, right? It
Yeah.
when it's unripe, it's hard like a rock,
Mm. Yeah.
and when it's too ripe, your finger goes right through it, and the inside gets really brown.
Yeah. Yeah. And it smells different as well. I mean, the taste is different. Everything about it is wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
even one other extreme of fruit which really shows this is the ackee fruit. I don't know if you've ever tried ackee. It's the national fruit of Jamaica.
No, man.
And ackee fruit, it tastes a little bit cheesy, but ackee, when it's on the tree and it's all closed up, if you were to take it up the tree and open it and eat it, it's so poisonous that you could die.
Mm.
What happens is with ackee is it opens up like a flower.
Mm.
So it's got pods in this rather the same way that durian does.
Mm.
But the pods will open up by themselves on the tree. And when they open up, that's when you eat them. But
Mm.
if you wait for a little bit too long and you eat them when they're starting to go mushy, you can make yourself sick. You won't kill yourself, but you can make yourself sick, get tummy
Yeah.
upset from it. So
Dude,
ackee is really one fruit. You've just got to have it in that right zone. Otherwise, you're going to do yourself some harm.
dude, that fruit is only up here in the Northeast as a cooked entree at Jamaican restaurants.
Yeah,
We
I've
have a
heard the Jamaicans cook them.
yeah, we have a big West Indian population here in the Hartford
Yeah.
and New York area, and ackee is it's on the menu, Mango, but it ain't raw.
Yeah. No, I don't think it transports. The thing with ackee is that the window is very small. So once they're open, you've got to eat them within a few days. Otherwise, they're going to go off. So it's one of the many fruits that you're not going to find being transported somewhere and sold in a market elsewhere in the world, other than
Right.
where they're growing.
Do you have pomegranates out there?
I've got a pomegranate tree in the garden.
Oh,
I've planted him myself. He's never given us any fruit yet. He's still quite young. I mean, bear in mind, we've only been living here since 2000, and so a lot of our trees are still very small and not really giving us fruit.
and some trees take good 10 years, right?
Absolutely. We're being patient with them. You've got to be patient. Yeah.
Yeah, man, they're alive. They're alive.
Yeah, yeah. So long as they're alive and growing, we're happy, even if they're not giving us anything, because one day we know they will. And obviously, we don't use any chemicals of any kind.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm feeding them with really is mulch. So cut grass around them, and all the compost, fruit compost scraps that we have, it all gets returned to the earth
Hmm.
here. The same for our toilet. All our toilet waste goes into the garden around the trees.
Mm. I mean,
Yeah,
this just sounds like a paradise you're living in. To me, you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
it is.
you're gonna have pomegranates any year now. Like that's mind blowing. Pomegranates cost $3 here, man. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
pomegranate is arguably pound for pound one of the healthiest foods there is on this planet.
yeah.
Pomegranate juice,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're gonna be able to just walk outside and just take it.
Hopefully, we don't know anybody else with a pomegranate tree. I think we have a very special pact with fruit trees. I think humans and fruit trees, it's the Garden of Eden. I mean, not everybody's into the Bible or into religion of any sort. Some people are atheists, but I think there's a lot of people that are, and most religions talk of original Garden of Eden of sorts, and many prophecies indicate that it will one day come to pass again that we're living in that way. But the
Hmm.
only thing that's really preventing us from making that happen is just the habits that we have, which go contrary to that. You know, while we've
Hmm.
still got this mindset that we should be, or that it's okay to take somebody's life purely because we feel like eating them,
Right.
and
I
with
mean,
fruit, it's like it really is such a special. I can't underline it more because our choice of becoming fruitarian was very similar to the choice of becoming vegan. That we
mm,
didn't any longer wish to do harm to animals. So becoming fruitarian, it's like we're giving plants the benefit of the doubt that they are alive, they're living their lives. That if we were in their place, living their life, we would not want to be harmed. We would
mm,
not want to be uprooted or chopped down or pulled up for any reason. So by choosing fruit, you're fully giving respect to animals and plants, both of them.
that's right. Because there is some agitation with carrots and potatoes and spinach and whatnot.
Absolutely. You pull up a carrot and you're taking the whole life of the carrot. It's gone. It's gone.
Hmm. Yeah.
You take an apple from a tree, the tree is living. The tree is benefited by you taking it.
Hmm.
It's a huge difference. Huge
Hmm.
difference.
Absolutely. So, Mango, where can people find your books?
My website is fruitnut.net. Really easy to remember.
Fruitnut.net.
Yeah, fruitnut.net.
All
And
right.
it's got a link to all my books there. The last one that I've written is called 2020 Vision,
Mm,
which is basically explaining ways to go beyond veganism. So if we're in it for the animals, if we're in it for the environment, and because we want to reduce the harm that our presence is causing on this planet, there are many other things that we can do besides cutting out animal products from our shopping cart.
mm,
I think that even the idea that we're living in cities is inherently destructive on so many levels. Cities are very unnatural places, and they mess with our minds really, because we're bombarded consistently with messages to
mm,
to continue being a good consumer, or to do things which are harmful.
mm,
So I think that one of the biggest steps that we can take, apart from changing the way we act as consumers, is just simply about moving out of the city and getting back. Even if we can't afford to buy land, which at the end of the day shouldn't ever be up for sale anyway, because land
mm,
is there. Nobody really owns it. It's just an illusion that we choose to accept. But
mm,
even if we're playing into that illusion and we don't have money to buy land, there are still ways that we can move out of the city. There are still ways that we can get back to nature by joining a community, finding like-minded people that maybe we can join up with, and maybe invest in something together. There's ways to do it. Anybody that wants to do it can do it. That's my
yeah,
very
absolutely.
strong belief.
That's something that we explore on this podcast is uh, creating communities or going to an ashram or a monastery or,
Yeah,
getting away from not necessarily society as a whole, but
yeah,
getting away from the programming of society and getting to some better fresh air is a big one too, right?
absolutely. That's a huge part of it. The cities have got a dome of pollution over them. We're
Yep.
breathing in bad air every day that every hour, second that we're living there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a huge thing. And I think that also the more that we can relinquish power from the big corps and the government, the better it is, because these companies and organizations, they don't exist for our benefit. They exist purely for profit, to
Mm,
make money, which is destroying the planet,
mm,
destroying the environment. It's all about destruction, really. Growth means destruction, or financial growth. I think somebody once said very wisely that behind every great fortune lies a great crime, and
mm.
that's so very true. And you're probably very well aware that the vast majority of the world's resources and financial wealth lies in the hands of very, very few. I
Yeah.
think that the top like 0.1% of the people on the planet own as much as the bottom 50% or
Yeah.
even more.
Pretty much. We got to create our own kingdom of heaven, man. That it sounds like that's what
Yeah,
you've done over there. It sounds.
yeah,
I mean, you got me wanting to hop on a plane, brother. I mean, it sounds great.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I want to make it clear that really it doesn't matter where you're at, because you might think, Mango is so fortunate. He's living out there. He's so blessed to be where he is, and he's living in kind of self-made little piece of paradise. And yeah, I mean, I'm the first one to acknowledge that. I've been extremely blessed, but I came from living in the city too. And a while ago, a few decades ago, I may have thought, how could I possibly get to the point where I'm living the kind of life that I truly want to live, and where I'm getting back to nature, and just this blessed space that I'm in now. And I don't want people to think, I'm privileged. It's not always been the case. And I'm only privileged because I've made it happen. I've wanted the right things in life. I've wanted to lessen harm. I've wanted to move forward. I've wanted to progress in this way. And the universe has opened the doors for me.
That's the way it
because
works.
once you're more in tune with where you should be going, the universe starts helping you to get there. Whereas if you keep making excuses, you're going to keep finding those doors are locked
That's right.
because you're not even trying to open them. They're not even maybe locked, they're just closed. You've got to
Yeah,
make the effort to open them.
absolutely. And I have an episode coming up all about ambition and how ambition can be a disease. And I think some people get stuck in the corporate world or the entertainment world and they're trying to climb some sort of ladder. You've taken yourself off
Yes.
that ladder and you're taking
Yeah,
that ambition and you're putting it towards personal development.
absolutely. I mean, I was in the corporate world too. I was working for a big company, going to work every day, and I broke free. And so it was everybody can say, oh, I can't do that, it's too difficult. But it was extremely difficult for me too. I remember it was like there's so many unknowns before you break free. You don't
Mm,
know how things are going to pan out. You don't know what's going to happen. But the more that you can trust that everything will be okay, the more things become okay.
yeah. This is just a big school, isn't it? This is a big mystery
It is
school
a big school.
and we're just working towards our
Absolutely.
graduation.
Yeah. And we're certainly not, we certainly haven't come here to be stuck in an office all day, in
No.
pursuing money for what end? So you can put it down on a mortgage and be in debt the rest of your life. And I don't know, just you're stuck there. You're just stuck in a routine where you're a slave really, because that's what
Yeah.
most people are. We're slaves. Once you're starting making money, uh, it's an addiction in itself. So
Mm,
it becomes more and more difficult to leave it behind because you're thinking, okay, I'm making so much every month and I'm stacking it all up. Uh, but if I stop, I'm not going to be getting anything coming in anymore. And that's a scary thought for everybody, really. So I think that at the end of the day, it's really more about faith. So if you're a young person fresh out of school and you haven't got money to do anything, I think that potential for that personal growth is still very much there before you've even got the money. You can
mm,
make a choice, look around, okay, I want to go and live in a community in Costa Rica, contact people there. If you're a good person and hardworking and pleasant to be around, you can make that work for you. You can live
yeah.
that kind of life straight away. You don't have to wait or earn a lot of money to do it. You can do it straight away.
That's right. That's right. When I have an ashram that I visit in New York,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this summer I met a gentleman who, man, he's been all over the United States, and he goes from community to community to community, community. He'll stay at a community for
yeah,
like 2 years, and then he moves on to another
yeah,
community, and then he works in the kitchen or he does housekeeping, and he's
yeah.
living a pretty free life. He has no need to go to a job and earn
Oh,
fifty
that's
fifty thousand dollars a year.
then he's probably not even earning any money. All he's doing is having a good time. He goes from ashram to ashram. They maybe don't even pay him money, but what does he need money for? If he's getting food there, he's getting board there, he's getting good company there.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely a choice that people can make. And to begin with, I was doing something quite similar. I mean, I was on a bicycle for a year and I didn't really know where I was going. I was just getting up in the morning and biking somewhere and seeing wherever fate took me. And
Really?
that was the beginning of
Wow.
my journey, really, because when I left the corporate world, well, not directly, yeah, a lot of things happened. It will all be explained in my biography, but my journey has been quite kind of wild and wonderful in many ways. So many things happened to me in those initial stages of letting go. I really, yeah, look back on it with fondness.
I
It
have a
is.
I have a guru, and one of his great teachings is he calls it the let go. That's what he calls it,
Hmm.
the let go. It's
Yeah,
another way of saying surrender,
yeah,
and but the let go and
yeah,
the let go can apply to that corporate job you had. It can apply to
yeah,
the money that you were just talking about, or it can apply to just your mind racing and going to the past and the future and just lay down and let go. You know,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
we're clinging to too many things, aren't we, Mango?
Absolutely. And as I often tell people, the chains that bind us, they're not bound around our wrists. We hold them in our fists.
Yeah.
So
Man,
it's up to us. Anytime we can let go, let go.
yeah, man. Your autobiography is going to be very interesting. I'm also working on something similar, and I've had things happen to me that I used to be in the entertainment business, Mango. I used to be, you know, a public figure. And
Yep.
and so, my life changed around 30 years old. And so there's a story to share there, and some of the things people I've met, mystics, Dr. Robert Morse is a big one for me.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
There's just so much that happens in someone's life that throws you into that river,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the let go.
Yeah. Back to the ocean. Back to the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
just, once we let go and we get cut through these illusions, I think it's like life is kind of like a joke in a good way. And,
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of life's a bitch and then you die, I prefer,
Yeah.
I prefer life's a joke and
Yeah.
laugh.
It's really good to have a sense of humor.
You know,
You got to be an observer, the observer. Yeah.
yeah. You got to look
Yeah.
at it all,
Yeah.
witness it all, and become so self
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah.
And then
I'm very much the observer. Are you familiar with the Enneagram? Yeah.
oh, yeah, George Gurdjieff brought that out a few decades ago. But yeah,
I'm personality type number 5, and they're also classified as the unenlightened Buddha, or the observer. And I feel very much the observer. I watch things and watch myself too when I like, even if I don't watch myself immediately, after I've done something, I'll look back at myself and think, okay, yeah, fair enough. Something to learn from that.
yeah, that's what it's all about, is just becoming so self-aware. And then the
Yeah.
more self-aware, the more witnessing and observing you do, the veils of
Mm,
illusions start to crumble.
they crumble.
They crumble, right?
Revelation after revelation.
It
Yeah,
just, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. And I think being a fruitarian is not only are you helping the earth and you're helping your body, but it's also a device to help you dissolve ego.
Yeah, I think so. Especially if you're doing it with the right frame of mind. And as I mentioned earlier, I do think a lot of people get into it, and it is for them about maybe making a status of themselves from
Mm-hmm.
doing that, or through fitness or health, I think. But I don't know. For me, my goal has always been about the understanding of the golden rule. It's about karma. It's
Mm.
about wanting to lessen the harm that my presence is causing here on the earth.
Yeah,
And the more I think that you can actually be in tune with that being the reason for you making changes, the more difficult it makes you to break away from doing
true indeed. But where can
that.
where can people come say hello to you on social media?
I'm on Facebook, Mango Wodzak, and easy to find on YouTube. Too, you're not on Twitter, or I don't know what else there is, Instagram or Spotify.
This
Yeah.
conversation could go on for another few hours, my friend, but
Yeah.
it's definitely
Yeah.
over where I expected, so I'm gonna have to cut this short.
Thank you for that.
And man, I really appreciate your time, and I know we're on different time zones. You're in the morning, I'm at night right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear the liveliness of your area in your background.
Can you hear the cicadas?
I do.
Yeah. A couple of hours ago, they were so deafening that if you go outside, you need like earplugs or something, because they're just so loud. We've got a lot of eucalyptus trees, and they're, yeah. Even though there isn't a cloud in the sky, when you walk underneath the eucalyptus trees, it's always raining.
It's a different world out there. We don't have any of those trees here.
Things are very different.
What an enlightening conversation, man.
Thanks for listening to Inner Peace with Dr. Reese.
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.